Let me tell you why it's super, super duper important to get life insurance. Now, whether or not you have kids, I do have children. There are people and loved ones that are going to have to either take care of themselves once you're gone or have to take care of all of your wishes after you are no longer here on this earth. And what you don't want to do is leave them with financial burdens and obligations when you could have prepared something for them to use in the case that you perish, right? So a good life insurance plan can give you that peace of mind that if something happens to you, your family has a safety net to cover things like mortgage, to cover things like college costs, things that day to day, you helped be responsible for, so that they can get back on their feet and focus on what matters the most. Now, from my personal experience, I felt so good, and a lot of anxiety melted away once I had life insurance. Y'all know I got 4 kids. I have a husband. I make money that helps to keep this household running. So to know that now, if anything happens to me, they are set for a while before they have to worry about what's the next step for them. I use Policy Genius to actually get our life insurance. Both me and Marcus got policies. It was super easy. We were able to lean on them to really understand the life insurance process, because that's not my industry. I don't know a lot about it, and I just wanted to be safe with the choices that I made. And Policy Genius helped me feel safe in that. Policy Genius was built to modernize the life insurance industry. The technology makes it easy to compare life insurance quotes from America's top insurers in just a few clicks to find your lowest price. With Policy Genius, you can find a life insurance policies that start at just $25 a month for $1 million in coverage, and some option offers coverage in as little as a week and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policy Genius works for you, so you don't have to worry about who they're recommending over the other. They're going to give you what's best for you. You can trust their guidance. And there's no fees, additional fees, and your personal details are private. Your loved ones deserve a financial safety net. You deserve a smarter way to find and buy it. Head to policygenius.com or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you can save. That's policygenius.com.
And 5, 4, 3, 2. What up, y'all? Welcome to Here's the Thing. I'm Kevin on stage. She's
Angel.
we're doing another podcast episode. Smash that like button, smash that notification button. Bangers, 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 all 2023. Bangers, 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 just for you and me. Welcome to Here's the Thing. I'm Kevin on stage. She's that chick Angel. He's Joshy Gons, a 30-year-old handsome man of Hispanic.
30.
Hispanic descent? Okay.
Yeah, I respect that. Thank you.
Joshy, before we jump in, tell us how your surprise birthday party was.
Let me tell you what, man. It was amazing after the fact. The day and the moments leading up to it had a lot of stress within the household because I had no idea what the hell was going on. And I thought we were beefing because the disconnect was there, but it all made sense. And my body was on E because we had this podcast at 5 a.m. that day. But it was a blessing to see a lot of familiar faces and close loved ones in the same place, in one place, I should say. You guys were missed, but you guys were there in spirit, and I appreciate it.
It did my heart glad to see you celebrated and loved on. It did my heart poorly when the woman told me.
When
Jasmine told me about it. I was like, oh, we're going to be taking the boys on the HBCU tour. But I'm just glad it happened. And just seeing your little face, you with the cheeky winkies. It was so cute. All right, Angel, any announcements? Oh, real quick, Austin, this week, we probably, at the time of this recording, we got about 100 tickets left to Friday and Saturday. The early on both is sold out. The late, 100 left. So you have a chance to get there, or you'll pick me up in Louisville, or you'll see me on the Ball Brothers tour. Louisville, there's 7,000 tickets available. I don't think they're aware that I'm coming there, but we'll talk about that in July. That's a July problem. This is June. Angel, what you got?
Is this going to cause an argument? Is going on tour. We've made the decision. My Patreon, the Angel Wings, know the dates already. Ooh. I won't be releasing the full dates to everyone else until I am certain that all of our venues are locked in. But know that the tour will be happening mid-July through the top of August. So y'all got a little bit of time. I will tell you the cities we're going to really quickly. We're going to Atlanta. We're going to Chicago. We're going to Houston. We're going to DC. We're going to Philadelphia, and we're going to New York, in Indianapolis, and Lexington. So
this is so exciting.
It gives me bubble guts, but I'm excited. And of course, last but not least, my birthday is coming up. So if y'all want to know what I want for my birthday, I need y'all. I need y'all to be using one margarita in your the margarita song, in your TikToks, in your Instagram reels. I need you to stream and download it. I need you to be listening to it on YouTube. Okay, let these people know. You can clap them cheeks to this song, huh?
Yes.
You can have a good time. All right.
Okay. Real quick, I wanted to address this. I made a video about this, but I want to talk about it here in the bigger platform. I can talk about it. I got a complaint / criticism about promoting Patreon too much. People were feeling like the regular people don't get loved on enough. And I want to say this, and I said this in a video, and I'll say it again. I love everybody, and all your support means something, right? Your likes, your shares, your comments, your retweets, you telling a friend, buying, all of it matters. However, the people who support on Patreon, which is less than 1%, actually less than 5% of all my fans are on Patreon, less than 5%. I got to show them people love, because they are the reason that people get to watch free content for free, and creators get to get paid for that. And I can't not show them love, and I can't not tell you what you're missing out on. And yes, you're missing out on stuff. They said, well, you make me feel bad for missing out on stuff. I'm a businessman. I'm marketing my products to you. If you feel bad, that means I'm doing a good job, but you shouldn't feel bad, because I give you free content up the wazoo, no less than 3 hours of podcasts alone a week for free. So if anybody should be feeling bad, it should be me, because I'm doing all the work.
Yes, and respectfully, if they're willing to contribute a little bit extra, that have the means to do it, you're not going to not reward them. And
if you don't have it, don't feel bad. Your bank account. I'm here to remind you. I'm here to tell you what you're missing out on. You are there to decide what to do. So
some of the things might be a couple added dates to the Ball Brothers tour. That's it.
This is the thing. I'll give you an analogy. It's like if you're on a plane and there are people who are first class. They get to board first. They get their little drinks, right? They get food on longer flights, like hot food. And then there is, Comfort Plus. There's, general, regular economy seating. All of y'all are going in the same direction to the same location, which is to Kevin's content, which is to my content, which is to Joshi Gonz's content. However, there comes some perks when you pay a little bit more money. So it's not that we don't love you all the same, because we're glad you're headed towards us. We're glad that you're headed towards the content. But you're going to have to take these biscuit, whatever they're called, cookies, the biscotti cookies in this Sprite.
I love that analogy.
Okay, but we love you. We're going to take care of you.
I really do love you, but I look, I ain't taking the Ball of the Beautiful ain't behind a paywall. Here's the thing, main episode was behind a paywall. Now I'd be like, but here's what y'all got to understand. This creator economy is changing. Like I said in the video, when you see articles, Instagram saying they ain't paying creators no more, Facebook say they ain't paying creators no more, TikTok creator fund don't pay. When you hear all that, we're sorry, Black people money from 2020 is gone. Yeah, they ain't sorry. The money going right back to them white people like it always has. Ain't no guilt trip. It ain't lucrative like it used to be.
But the work is the same.
Yes, the work is the same. Facebook was like, yeah, man, we cut 30% of our jobs also and paying people. We done. All right, now let's start, because there is a docket upon a docket, and yes, we're gonna talk about it. I know.
I saw something that said Titanic. What?
Yes.
When did that get
my TikTok. So that was this morning, right? So I'm gonna, Angel, you got to check the docket. So again, now let me tell y'all, the Patreon producers, they be on it. Now,
this was some tea, though.
I just started doing this where I put in the Patreon on Monday morning. Hey, y'all want to put whatever you think is in there, what you want to talk about, put it in there, and we'll talk about it. They they be filling the docket up. And I thought I caught a lot of stuff, but when you have everybody throwing stuff in there, I'd be like, boy, there'll be stuff happening on the internet I'm unaware of.
I was checking at 1 a.m. I was on there at 1 a.m. trying to get everything, not realizing.
Angel, this developed late yesterday because it popped up in my TikTok feed because I get like a hair of conspiracy TikTok. And this was on the forefront, but today I probably saw 10 videos over 20 that were just based off of this because I watched that one yesterday.
Yeah, so Patreon put this in here. So what you're about to see is a video about the company that does these underwater Titanic wreckage tours. Okay, this video is going re-viral because this submersible just went missing over the weekend. So this video was made, I think, 6 months ago. They're talking about the vessel you about to see and hear about is the one that they can't find.
Service. An experimental submersible vessel that has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body and could result in physical injury, disability, emotional trauma, or death. Where do I sign? Oh, take your shoes off. That's customary. Okay. Wow. Inside, the sub has about as much room as a minivan.
So this is not your grandfather's submersible. We only have one button. That's it. It should be like an elevator. You know, it shouldn't take a lot of skill.
The Titan is the only 5-person sub in the world that can reach Titanic depths, 2.4 miles below the sea. It's also the only one with a toilet, sort of. And yet I couldn't help noticing how many pieces of this sub seemed improvised.
We can use these off-the-shelf components.
I got these from Camper World. We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Come on! It seems like
them people went down there in the real life ocean, okay? With this is no hyperbole. They just showed you a Logitech game controller controlling their submersible. They make you sign a waiver. I was looking at the waiver. The waiver says 3 times on the first page, if you die, you cannot sue us. It costs $250,000 for a ticket to go down there and visit with the Titanic. Now, let me tell you something. I'm doing okay in life. I'm not doing $250,000 to go down and visit them, that broken ship in the water. And if I did have it, I can't even adequately express to you my fear of the ocean deep, like how far deep the ocean. When I was a kid, I watched this movie called The Abyss, and they was in submersibles and the ocean pressure cracked the thing. It's not happening.
6,000 pounds of pressure.
6,000.
More people have gone to space. More people have gone to space than that far down in the ocean.
When I tell you the heart palpitations I'm having and the weight that is starting to increase on my chest, as soon as the video started and they got into that metal cube, little metal tube already.
One window. And they said when they're down there, it's so dark that they have to look at the TV screens to actually see outside. So you go down there and you could be watching the same thing, a better clip of it on YouTube than you can when you're miles down under the sea.
1,000%.
How many people were in the tube before it went missing?
5. One of them, though, Angel, and this is where it gets, like I said, this is where that conspiracy talk popped up on me. The one of them was one of the passengers on Bezos's spaceship that went to space. This is what happens when you make too much money. You push life's limits to the absolute fullest.
Because regular life is boring to you.
Apparently,
you have 250,000. So on another video, I've been engrossed in this whole saga all morning. Another time, this same vessel. So the way it works, they go so deep. There's no GPS down there. What happens is the ship, they have like a ship that they launch from. It pings like a text message to them. In a previous voyage, after they were lost for 2.5 hours in the ocean. And one of the customers was like, they said they knew what they were doing. but we was lost. Apparently, like they have, last thing I heard, they have like, I think like maybe, I don't know.
I think it's like 90 hours of oxygen. But
Yes,
so
90.
Angel, they were saying it takes 2 hours to get to the actual destination of where the Titanic is, and they lost contact at like an hour and a half, so they can only imagine that it being that far down. But the trick with this vessel, since it's a private company, there's no like regulations on. That's why they're operating it with like a PS4 controller, right? But even if it gets to the surface, right, it can't fully, since it's a submersible, whatever the word is,
Submersible.
it can only stay below the top layer of water. So all they can do is scan it and do sonar pings, but the people are stuck in it even if they are on the surface, because it's closed. The door is closed with 17 bolts from the outside that you can only access.
I can't do it. What if the remote battery went dead? What if that's the thing that happened? That somebody forgot to charge the goddamn Logitech remote control. And that's why the fact of the matter is, if I'm in there, we're all dead regardless, because I'm going to have a full-blown panic attack and turn into a gorilla and rip everybody's heads off, because I'm not going to be able to control being still. There's only so much Jesus. There's only so much of that I can do and think I'm going to remain sane.
First of all, Angel, the more you do that, the more oxygen you using up. So you better speak in tongues in your mind, because all that hush, because
that's the reason why everybody's going to die, because I need them to stop breathing so I can continue to pray.
Listen, Angel, we was on the HBCU tour taking the boys over the last 2 weeks. We was in a car for 5 hours, and I'm just like, I want to get out of this place. I want to walk around a little bit.
20 hours?
What?
How long did you say?
It was like 4 or 5 5-hour trips. So
I heard 20 hours. I was like, did you guys drive across the
total?
Sorry.
But it was at 5 hours a drive maximum. That's every 2 hours. We're going to the bathroom. I don't like small spaces anyway. Mm-mm. I don't like the ocean deep. I don't be going out in the ocean. And I like the beaches, like the idea of it. But I don't really like here's the thing about the ocean, just walking, right? You walking out to the ocean, tide come in, the ground is now down here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The ground is moved. And I seen a TikTok, and this is a little morbid, but the dude was playing around in the ocean.
With the shark?
No, it wasn't a shark.
I saw that one.
And the tide came up and pulled him in. And the guy was like explaining how dangerous this was. And I'm like, man, the whole time I'm watching, I was like, man, how'd they rescue him? He was like, oh yeah, and that guy was never seen from again. I said, and his friends was right there. And now
more than them got him.
That's why I don't be letting my kids be getting on the ocean. I don't let them, when they be wanting to go by the tide, I have to first the shore, I have to hold Amar's hand so tight, because you're not about to listen. What the ocean ain't about to do is get my babies. Now, I have a question for you, Kevin.
Yes.
Real quick. How would you and Melissa do in that? If they were like, Kevin and Melissa, if you all get in this Titanic searching tube, right?
They start going like this.
Okay, listen, and you will own BET and ABC and NBC and CBS. That's what you get. How would you and Melissa fare?
We would not fare well at all. First of all, I seen Titanic. Okay, movie. I don't need to run it back. Everything I needed to see, I seen on the movie with Leo and Kate. The other stuff that I wanted to see, I seen on the History Channel. If we down there for real, we are arguing.
Y'all argue?
Argue.
Really?
Yes.
Y'all not gonna have like conversations about love and relationships like they do on Punky Johnson's Electrified New Podcast?
That could be a podcast, like the deepest emotions and the deepest depths. You know, there's a parallel there.
Or it could be like Love Thing from Sirius XM and Kevin Hart's LOL Radio.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because they took a deep dive head first into the world of love, huh?
Yeah, they did.
Join Punky and her hilarious best friend and co-host Dicey as they give their highly unqualified advice on matters of the heart. Hosted by the multi-talented Punky Johnson, an SNL cast member renowned for her stand-up comedy, acting, and writing, including her appearance on HBO's hit show Love Life. Make sure you follow the show on XM Radio, on Sirius XM, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast from. Again, that is Love Thang, like Thang. Love Thang with Punky Robinson.
Punky is very funny. She's hilarious on Love Live, Saturday Night Live. Please check that podcast out. You are going to enjoy every minute of it. I wish some people had that thing down there. Now, let me tell you what. The sub, they said the only thing that was, well, first, let me back up. The guy was talking fast, but in that waiver, he was like, none of this is certified. No regulatory agency signed off on this. FDA, FBI, ATF, NASA, Wally, Pixar.
He said this handles from Camping World.
I said, what are you, bro? Are you like, when I saw that, Josh, I was like, be for real, bro. Be for this. This is the ocean, man. This ain't like a electric bike we talking about. He was, oh yeah, the outside is cool. Sir, Camper World, that is for camping in nature. That is bear proof. Do you know how deep the ocean goes and how strong the pressure of the ocean is?
No, and I don't want to firsthand.
Will Smith did a Nat Geo on the ocean, and he went down in the like state of the art thing. Josh, Angel, it gets so dark down there. The light has nothing to reflect off of. You don't hear nothing. They have ocean sounds from the deep. I was like, Will, get out of there. It's like low-key might be my worst nightmare, and also something I would never even think. I don't even play like that. This would never happen to me because I don't play like that. I don't play with ocean. I don't. Yeah. Little Mermaid is as far as I go.
There are two. You're so stupid. This combines two things that I have real fears of. I am claustrophobic, so I don't like not having full, like, I need to be able to do all the things and move about. And I am afraid of enormous things. The ocean is one of the biggest things, is the biggest thing we have on this earth. Yeah. The fact that enormous things makes me feel very small and insignificant. And I realize how fragile I am. So to put the two together and say, we'll pay you $250,000 to have a nervous breakdown is basically what I'd be paying for, even if I made it out good. The type
you pay them.
Yeah, $250,000. I didn't pay them for a nervous breakdown. Because I can tell you now, even if I made it out okay, even if everything went perfect, the remote control was charged, none of the little screens went out, I'm not going to be mentally well. I'm going to have to check myself in for a little bit, for a solid year in order to be able to walk around in the earth. Oh. I don't know what type of adrenaline junkie or what type of curiosity I would have to have in order to ever think that I would even come. I don't like it.
Well, I'm curious, Angel. That's why I watch documentaries.
Yes.
Watch Discovery. I'm really curious.
I can't wait for the Netflix one on this.
Oh my, I let y'all do that stuff. And when your documentary come out, I'm gonna press play. My curiosity is from a distance. Mm-hmm. I don't need to be up close. Listen, y'all don't, the whales and the orcas and the sharks, they seen Avatar 2. They mobilizing, they flipping boats, they capturing people. I'm not certain this ain't a coordinated whale attack. I don't know what's going on in the ocean.
They swam by the vessel and said, "Oh well."
Come on. Listen, this is something else. Listen, the Lord ain't ever got to worry about me not doing or going where he says to go, because I'm not trying to be Jonah. That'd be it. The whale would have spit me out, and the Lord would have been like, Angel. And I would have already killed myself inside of the whale. I would have been fine. Could have been in there cozy. But because I can't move, I can't be that, like, just seeing it is too much for me. So I can't even be that curious to how these people just met their demise. I don't want no parts.
And
I don't want no
listen,
parts.
all jokes aside, two things I want to say. Let me tell you, this can never happen to me because this is completely avoidable for me. And I do hope they are found. It is a tragic way to go. And I do not wish them any harm, even though I think this is ill-advised. And the fact that they told y'all how this works down at Ocean Gate, I still want y'all to get out so y'all could realize how big of a mistake that was. And I really do hope y'all well. I wish y'all the best.
I have a recurring nightmare. Doesn't happen often, but it happens enough, of being on one of them bridges that do this, in my vehicle doing this, right? And then when we started having the sinkholes out here, car going in and being stuck in the vehicle and not being able to get my children, and I'm gonna pay somebody to make that nightmare a reality. Everybody can kiss my ass. I can't do it. It's too much. It's too much. And now it makes me mad. It makes me mad when people just ain't got enough sense to leave well enough alone. Okay, we could just sit. You saw it. Boom, little mom joke.
Women are funny.
I don't understand why people don't like the simple things in life. I just don't get it. But you know what? You the type of Negro that sat up in the sky and had breakfast. Then you just sit in the sky recently in Dubai and had lunch.
No, I didn't do that.
Are you
I
lying?
wanted to do that though. I didn't do that. No. That was supposed to do that, but they didn't have no vegan food, so we didn't do it. I did take a shower in an airplane though. That's
a little bit different. But going up in the sky just to eat food,
I would have done that.
See, that's crazy.
But that's
one more thing I'll add too. They were saying that because of the weather that we've had this year, this was the only scheduled Titanic voyage or whatever the tour was called of this year.
Also, John, why though? What do y'all want to see a broken down ship from that? Like, why? Why do you need to look out of a window and see that?
One window.
It's the exclusivity. It's to be able to be. I am one of the few people who can say I saw something that messed up down in the ocean.
They down there because they messed up, and y'all finna be. Now they're gonna have two visits. You can see them, and you can see see y'all.
Stop.
And they down there with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Just for what? And now you got two. Then it is where the people was that try to see them, and then somebody else gonna say this is where. And then now y'all down there.
I can't.
Dude, man,
Wild.
I thought. Okay, it's the last thing I'll say. I'm gonna move on. When I saw the thing, I thought they were playing. When he said, "Like I got this from Camper World," I didn't believe that was for real.
When I first saw the remote control, I was like, oh, maybe that was for like the camera or something. Something that you would assume not this to be operating.
That's it.
And it wasn't even a PS5, Josh. It was a Logitech.
The generic version.
$24.99 on Amazon.
Have y'all ever been in a submersible capsule? Because I have.
Girl, I barely go underneath the bath.
I have the Finding Nemo ride at Disneyland. That's about as close as I'll ever get to it. And I still freak out.
I was in a submergible capsule on land and almost lost my mind. That's what they tell you. You know, rich white folk will come up with any reason to spend money. They tell you when you're going to get surgery that being able to be in a submergible, because when you're in a submergible, the oxygen molecules get smaller and it helps get to your cells faster. So any type of surgery you're having, if it's a major surgery, they recommend it because it helps in the healing process. I was on land, okay, in Encino on land. They were able to play a Netflix movie, and I was still in there like, oh, come on, Father, come on, Father, be with me, be with me, be with me. I was in there for 45 minutes.
You better call.
I was tarrying. You hear me?
Oh, Father, be with me, be with me.
Be with me. I was breaking strongholds off the people in Encino in order to make it through there without losing my mind. Okay.
Be with me, be with me.
Yes, a hyperbolic chamber. That's what it's called, Phyllis. You get it. Oh my God, today.
Barrick.
Yes. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost was in there with me. I was like, come on, Jesus.
Man.
Yeah, I can't do it.
All right. Moving on. This was in the Patreon producers' #1 requested thing. Over the weekend, Russell Simmons' ex-wife, Kimora Lee Simmons, aired him out on Instagram Live, and his daughters aired him out in their own ways. His oldest daughter, Ming Lee, said Happy Father's Day to her mom. And her younger daughter, Aoki Lee Simmons, posted texts of Russ and a soundless or a video that was muted of him fussing, right? And
hard S's.
Big cuss, big frustrations. So obviously people were like, Kev, what you think? You used to work with him. So I'm gonna talk first, and I want to hear what Josh and Angel got to say.
I think my NDA is up.
Here's what NDA definitely up. Here's one thing I was talking to Melissa about this morning. Here's the thing, and we say this on this podcast specifically all the time. More than one thing can be true, right? For my life, Russell gave me a great opportunity that changed my life, right? Giving me that job at All Deaf gave me a great opportunity, changed the trajectory of my life, helped me feed my family. It was like digital college down at All Deaf. That one thing is true. Second thing is true. There's a lot of women in this world prior to my career there and after that had very different experiences with Russell and sexual assault. There's a whole documentary about him on HBO. I can't think of the name right now. But there's a whole, I think something about The Record. I don't want to misspeak, but there's a whole documentary about him and the allegations by Black women on The Record. On HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these allegations came out while I was at All Deaf, and he resigned from All Deaf. And basically, shortly after that resignation, the company closed. On The Record. I'm sorry. It's called On the Record on HBO Max. Shortly after that, I want to say within a year or so, the company closed down. So those things can be true as well. And this situation with his daughters, this isn't even alleged. These are text messages that she posted. This is a video that she posted of him and an apology that he said, I'm sorry for yelling and cussing. I love you all, this and that, right? All of these things can be true within the same person, right? But here's the thing I want to say, and I want to hear from Angel and Josh. In the comments of her post, his post, and one of the common themes that I saw that I want to address was this should not be exposed in the public, right? People were telling his daughter, you need to take this down. This is private family business. One of her complaints, one of her alleges is that he creates this persona that's love and vibes and harmony and yoga and all that type of stuff. And then behind closed doors, he's hurtful and abusive, and he attacks me, my mom, and my friends. And Black people, we jumped in the comments, not we, but there was Black people in the comments like, take this down. This is not how you handle this. Family business is family business, right? And here's what I want to say about this specifically part about the Black community. That ideology, right? Y'all ain't supposed to say that. Family business should be family business, is how people end up abused. Physically, emotionally, sexually, keeping family business private, and being afraid to talk about it, or being chastised by older people in the community is why people are afraid to say stuff. And it's why people are often able to abuse people for long periods of time. Her allegation is that he uses his personality on social media, and that's not who he is. If part of her allegation is that his personality that he portrays on social media isn't who he is, and he's actually abusive in private, then that personality needs to be destroyed on social media where it's created. This isn't a private person that we don't know. This is a persona that we've seen, love, harmony, yoga, all that stuff.
Vegan,
love, harmony, prayer, karma. But to his daughters, they are seeing a different version of that. And to see one person celebrated for love and harmony, and in your text message, in your actual life, it's very different. And having other people be like, you need to be quiet. That ain't our business. That ain't our business. That's how people end up being hurt, right? And she said, and this was in my experience when I worked there, she's a very sweet girl. Aoki is the one that actually spent time at All Deaf. She would chop it up with us and stuff like that. Very sweet girl. She probably was JoJo's age at the time I worked there. Sweet, sweet girl, right? And she said, and from what I saw, they had a great relationship when I worked there. And she said their relationship had been great up until the last couple of years. Apparently some lawsuit between him and Kimora is what started to deteriorate their relationship. And from her point of view, he was asking her and the kids to choose sides, or he was feeling like they chose sides. And he was blaming them for loss, for what he had lost. He alleged that she, being Kimora, stole money from him, and the kids are perpetuating this, all this type of stuff. And listen, I can't protect the image of a person because that's what their version of me was, right? And I can't minimize what someone else's harm has been because that's not my experience. If I'm driving down the road and I hit somebody with a car, a person who didn't get hit by a car saying, well, he ain't never hit me, so couldn't have been him. That's not necessarily true, right? All that means is I didn't have that experience with him. That doesn't negate the experience his children have had with him, his ex-wife, and the women that accused him. And this is honestly, it's a same through line that you hear about men in power of both races. Well, he built hip hop. He was about to buy NBC. He was the originator of R&B. And they can also be terrible people. That does not mean that you don't do other stuff, right? If me, Kevin, who talks about how much I offer people and help creators, if it came to light that I'm actually stealing from creators, or I hadn't been paying Josh on time, or whatever, if they brought that to light, and one of my other employees was like, I got paid on time every time, I don't know what y'all talking about, that doesn't mean Josh and Angel's thing ain't true.
That doesn't
Absolve,
discredit anybody else's experience with that same person.
1000%. I'm not the same person to Angel and Josh as I am to my wife or my children. I could be the world's greatest father and still struggle to be a great husband because those experiences are different. I can have one experience with Angel and a different with Josh and a different with Tony or Mel Mitchell, right? And it's unfair to victims to absolve people because of the things they built, because a lot of times people use what they've done, and other people use that same thing, what they've done for some like immunity, right? It ends up being like immunity against these crimes. Well, they could have done. Well, we tearing our black men down, well, sometimes they are tearing the community down as well. And if we are the community, like, what does it show that little girl who's bearing her soul to this very public figure who has more power than her? What does it show her when people be like, you need to take this down, that ain't right, he built hip hop, he could. So
can I hopscotch into this? Can I double dutch into this? Because I got a couple of different perspectives than you. I I do not judge them for deciding to make this public. Do I necessarily feel like we or me myself can do anything to stop what is happening to her? No. And do I feel bad that it went public? Yes, only for the simple fact that this is not a random woman saying something about her boss. This is a young lady having to make people see her father for who he is. So it adds so many complexities. So now she's having to hear the voices of people who really don't have no business speaking on it. So that's the only reason why, for me, I was like, damn, I feel bad because she's now not only having to deal with his behavior, she's now having to try to filter out the voices of people who really have no business talking about the situation, right? But what I want to go back to is one step before. If it ain't nobody's business to be a part of this, then it was nobody's business to try to correct this young lady when she decided to wish her mother a happy Father's Day. That would be pissing me off more than anything. I get people have the sentiment that Father's Day is meant for father figures. It is meant for men. Then nigga, you do that. Let me tell you what my mother gets from me every year. Happy Father's Day. Everybody else can kiss my big, wide ass. At the end of the day, everything that people say a father is supposed to give you, everything people say you're supposed to learn from your father, if I didn't learn it from Dorothy, I would not have learned it at all. But because people feel like they have to have control over who people decide to celebrate on a day that was just made up, they jumped into her business then. So this is why all of this is happening, is because people are like, how dare you do that? Okay, well, let me show you why I dare do that. Because this man has been insane for the past few years to me. We wouldn't be in their business. This is not, they could have drugged this man so long ago. They, like, when all this behavior started, they could have started dragging him in the public. They weren't dragging this man in the public. It wasn't until people felt like, oh, you have no business not giving your dad all of the honor. He's the one who's the millionaire, or he's the reason why y'all have any money. Okay, I don't care. Let me tell you something. I don't care if my daddy was a billionaire. If he was a dick and not a part of my life and only offered money, I get to speak to that truth too if I want to. I get to feel how I want to feel because this is who I am experiencing. So I feel as though I truly do wish that this was not having to play out in public, not because I think they should be silent, just because there's so much stuff that they're already having to navigate. And now you're having to navigate the voices and the opinions of people who honestly don't matter at the end of the day. None of these people matter. These people are just shouting into the void that is social media, their opinions, just like we are, the void of their opinions on social media. You've given them kind of the license to be able
access to
put their opinion on a very stressful and very hard situation. So I don't wish that on them. I really, really don't. So that's the only reason why I'm like, God dang. And it also made me reflect. I was like, dear God, I pray I never get into a situation where I don't feel that I can handle the situation outside of the public's eye, and that I have to use the public in order to start veering the situation into my, because I think that's what they're hoping, is that if we make it public, he will have to stop being Jekyll and Hyde. Yeah. He'll have to stop trying to present himself in this certain way when that's not what he's doing. I pray I'm never in a situation where I have to use the public to start managing the crisis management in my own life, because the public is crazy. And the public will create their entire narrative. They will fill in every hole and believe that the things they filled in are fact. They'll be like, see, but when this is what she's really upset about, it's because when they mama, it is just like, you ain't in the house with them, and no amount of text messages is going to be able to give us a full picture or screenshots, a full picture of what she's gone through. No amount of court documents are going to be able to give you all a full picture of what they've experienced. So that's truly my thoughts on the matter. When I saw it, I was just like, oh no, this is not.
I was, listen, I felt awful for them, right? And it's a situation where I don't know how to say this, and I don't want to come off as I'm protecting Russell in any way, but it is very odd to hear stories of someone that you only know in a different light.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this is especially the fatherhood thing. Like, all I ever saw was love between them, right? Both ways the entire time I worked there. And then to see this experience, just like, it kind of made me realize, like, you don't be knowing people for real, right? Like, especially the further removed you are. Like, I actually worked with him, but that was like 9 to 5, and I didn't spend all my hours with him. We had meetings and all that type of stuff, but there's more hours in the day. And that was also many years ago, right? That was like 7, 8 years ago. And then, so the further you are removed from people, all you know is them on the internet. It's like, you see the version of a person that they create online a lot of times. And a lot of times their actual personality and the people that are close to them know a very different person. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, I was bought into the persona you created. So a lot of times it's hard to reconcile. Well, all I see is this and that, and you never see the other part. It don't reconcile. But the thing about it is, social media is media. We create the versions of ourselves that we want to be consumed. It ain't a reality show. It's not somebody following us around with a camera.
No.
Like, me doing a documentary on myself is very different than somebody else doing a documentary on me. I'm going to put the stuff in that makes me look the best. When Josh edit my documentary, it's going to tell my story the way I want to see it, right? Somebody else who had an experience with me telling their version of me, totally different Kevin. Totally different experience. And I realized, like, sometimes with a lot of people, I feel like we just think we know.
Yeah.
But we really don't know. We are believing the narrative that is put before us. And a lot of times we believe the narrative we want to believe. That's what happened a lot with Bill Cosby. People just didn't want to believe that. Like, he was my dad, and he was such a good representation of Black fathers and a family, and look what he did. And he couldn't have done. They had to be lying, because look at the episode and the Huxtables and that episode with Rudy and all the Black people behind the camera. He was about to buy NBC, and he was putting Quaaludes in women's drinks. He said it out of his own mouth, and people still didn't want to, but he admitted to it. I heard him. He said, yes, I did. He thought he wasn't supposed to be charged for it, but he said it. And we still was like, no. There's a video I posted yesterday. Just want to make this point. I was drinking a Bud Light to make a joke, right? And I show the cap, right? The cap is clearly off. I drink the drink.
The cap is clearly on.
No, it's off in the video.
Oh, it looked like it was on.
It looked like it was on.
It wasn't on, right?
Oh.
Literally, you can see these rungs, right? And here's the other thing. When they sell you a beer in a baseball stadium, they have to take the cap off, so you can't throw it on the field, right? So I leaned forward with it, and people swore up and down that the cap is off. And I'm like, this is how the internet be.
Wait a minute. Was the cap on or off, Kevin?
It was off.
The cap was off.
Okay, and people swore up and down the cap was.
The cap was on. Okay,
you said off.
You just said off, though.
Oh, my bad. The cap was off. And I showed it. Just forget it. Take it out, Josh.
No. No, I understand. The cap was off. You leaned forward, showed it was off, but they still thought it was on.
I fully thought it was on.
It was off, because they won't sell you a beer in a stadium with a cap. They take it off, so you can't you can't close it and throw it. But the whole point is, I'm the person holding this, and I can see it, and people are telling me what I'm experiencing. And that's what happened with his daughter, and what happens to women often. They tell a story that is very true, that she produced text messages, video evidence, and people were still like, nah, right, man. But
and then the argument and the conversation, the whole direction changes, because now you're trying to fight the narrative of people's perception against what the actual issue was at hand.
And this is the
1000%.
reason why
Yeah.
I just wish that's the only reason why I wish it didn't go public, is because that is what they're having to do. They're having to fight things and stuff that I'm like, oh, I wish y'all weren't wasting y'all's energy with these folks. There are people who want to believe what they want to believe, especially when it comes to men. If a man didn't done anything, if a man didn't cut the grass, if the man didn't read a scripture once, you cannot defame that person, because you're trying to take away any type of goodness they've done in the world. That is true on the big levels of the Bill Cosbys, all the way to the small levels of the town, children's minister.
Yeah.
We don't like, especially black folk. Don't you talk about our black men, because we are comparing it to what is happening in a more global sense, or
Yes.
what's happening in the nation to black men by the police, by people in authority. And we feel as though, well, then the victims that are on a smaller level can't speak out because, you see what they do? And then they want to bring in white people. Okay. Listen, the white people take care of themselves by going into these goddamn submarines and dying in them. Okay. We have
Oh,
to be
God.
careful to start holding people accountable on every single level. I think there's just this thing of not wanting to really clean house. We
Yeah.
just really want the appearance of a clean house, but we'll let people be the consequence of the appearance.
And there's a couple other things too. People, let me just say this, and I want to say this in the best way possible. Well, at least you got a dad. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And he could also be being abusive at this time in my relationship.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was raised like this, how my dad did me, and they both could have been wrong, right? A lot of black kids was raised in physically and verbally abusive households, and it was tough love. That's how I was raised. That's how my mama did it, and doesn't make it right. Our parents did the best they could. Absolutely. 100%. Not saying they didn't. Still doesn't make it right. It's like that part where I told you guys way back when I figured out that I was molested. I was like, no, but I wanted to, you know what I'm saying? I kissed. Yeah, she was 19 and I was like 12 or 13. Just because I was taught that this was cool and that made me a player, and you know what I'm saying? Ooh, I was sucking titties at 13, doesn't mean that I wasn't taken advantage of.
Come on.
And I was too young. Well, somebody was like, if the roles were reversed, would you feel the same? And I was like, oh, snap. No, it would have been sexual assault. But I didn't feel no different. Just because it happened don't mean it's right. Don't mean the people didn't have best intentions. Don't mean that it was wrong. Just because a lot of us were physically and verbally abused, we think it's okay just because it was normal. Right?
Right.
Just because things are normal doesn't mean they're okay. Just because it was the status quo don't mean it's okay. Slavery not only was the status quo, it was legal.
Legal.
It was in the law. Just because something is legal or the status quo doesn't mean it's right.
Recommended.
Just maybe a slave owner was nice and he freed his people. It doesn't mean he himself wasn't also terrible, and the rest of them weren't terrible. People love to pick the one example of something and excuse everything else they've done. If I have done all this stuff that I've done in my life, and then tomorrow I go and drive a school bus into a museum and kill 10 people, I still have done that as well.
Right.
It doesn't negate all the other stuff I did, and it doesn't mean I didn't hurt the people that I hurt that day.
It's because I feel like it's because of two things besides patriarchy and racism. I think it's two things. One, and I'm going to say we, even though I know people do try, and I even try, we don't want to face the hypocrisy in our own self. There's a lack of self-awareness. And two, it's so much easier to see people as a one-dimensional person versus them being complex individuals. Yes. So it's almost like we romanticize what people are. We put them as people in a movie. If you think about a Disney villain, we don't usually see like the origin of why they are these broken people that are adamant about revenge, right? We just see them as one-dimensional. So when it comes to human beings, or especially people that we possibly looked up to, it's very hard for us as a people, I think, sometimes to recognize that people are three-dimensional, including us. There are a lot of things that I could lay out about myself that are not attractive features of me. And I'm not talking about physical features. I'm talking about personality. I'm talking about behavior. There are a lot of things that I have had growth from, especially being someone raised as a conservative Christian. I had a lot of, oh my God, today. There are probably a couple of people I need to apologize to if I can find them. That I think for a lot of us, oh my God, it's too much for us to really deal with where we are in life. We don't want to be thought of as bad people. We don't want people to like see us as something that we don't want to be presented as. So we refuse to see other people in their totality because we don't want people to see us that way.
Angel, you talking good. Listen, in therapy, I had to realize, right, some of your biggest flaws come from you trying to be the best version of yourself. I'll give you a quick example in my own personal life, because I'm great father Kev, great husband Kev. Not having my biological father in my life and not having those great memories that I wanted so badly to have made me want them with my kids, right? I want to have these memories that I miss. Nothing wrong with that, right? From a broken little boy who just wanted to play catch with his real dad. When I have my sons, I'm going to have those moments. Great intentions, great part, came from a great place. The execution of that is me and Melissa talk about getting the boys a PS4 for their birthday. I buy it. I set up a surprise. I surprise JoJo on video before Melissa even gets home, right? Because I wanted so badly to share that memory that I excluded her from that memory. My kid's version of me is my dad bought me a PlayStation, and man, he surprised me after school. It's a great memory, picture perfect memory. My wife's version of those events is you robbed me of a moment with our kids. You took something that we were supposed to do as a family and you made it about you. The reason that it came from is true. I still excluded her from that opportunity. Did the same thing, took the boys on a trip to Vegas and all this stuff. We had a great father-son vacation. The boys have a great experience and memory of that my dad is perfect. He took us to Vegas. We went to Mandalay Bay. Oh, what a memory. My wife, totally different viewpoint of that. Man, you took the kids to Vegas. When you were gone, I never did that. And when she told me about that, I'm like, oh my God. And if we have this conversation, if we were fussing or whatever, the boys are going to be like, we had a great time in Vegas. I don't care. I don't know what you're talking about, Mom. This was great. And I'm still the person who is a great a great father in this moment and a poor husband in the same moment.
Listen, let me expound upon that just even a little bit more. To a lot of the people who watch you, to a lot of comedians, you are this not an up and coming comedians. You are a trailblazer. You created an avenue that did or forged a way that led to a path that a lot of other people that they now know, like this is up and coming comedians, that they can like have success. To possibly older comedians, you this nigga who skipped a bunch of goddamn steps because they were beating the path. They have been beating the pavement, going to these clubs, getting paid $25. And here you are, not ever having to open for anyone on tour and take it and barely get paid anything and headlining your own tour, right? So what you did was the exact same. How it affected the people who are watching you, completely different. And that was something I had to realize even in parenting. I cannot control the role that I get in someone else's story. As much as I want to trust and believe, I am trying my best not to be the wicked person in each of my son's stories that they tell when they get older about their life. But at the end of the day, I am not the author of their story. They are.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of people, once they put someone as a character, people that are they are like, I cannot shift them because this is the good guy. How the hell can he become a part of the bad team if I put him in this place? But the more we have recollection, the more we are aware of that, the more we can be take accountability for our actions and being like, listen, at the end of the day, what I wasn't trying to do is some of the stuff that is affected you this way or affected you this way. My purpose was this. How it falls out, all I can do is reflect and possibly adjust in the future. But the more we try to control how people want to see us, the more we're going to lose energy and not actually focus on what we were actually created to do on this earth.
1000%. I can't agree more. I used to really struggle with that. And then I was just like, I can't change. I'm the villain in your history book.
Yeah.
I used to fight so hard about that. And listen, I can't change your synopsis of me in your eyes. Right. And a lot of times people's perception of you and perspective of you, their perception of you frames their perspective of you. If you are this powerful person in their mind, you just moving like that's why when that whole Kev gave the sketch to HBO thing came about, I was like, who do y'all think I am? And it made me realize people think I have infinitely more power than I actually do in certain scenarios. They thought I had the power to pitch a sketch to HBO on a show that I was not on. How? And I have the power to take it off.
We're trying to get our stuff on HBO. What do you mean?
You realize HBO is $1 billion. You think I can tell them to take a sketch off of their network that they spent millions of dollars? Who do y'all think I am? When the show got canceled one time on NBC, people were like, Kev, you should pick that up on Kev on Stage Studios. I said, we have $7 in gum. This is a network. Who do y'all think I am?
I'm telling you, that can have so much power over a church kid of trying to control people's narrative of you. For the people who thought that you did the HBO thing, not only did they think you were powerful, they've been wanting you to be the villain. They have been waiting for you to be the villain.
Yes.
So they were like, here's the opportunity. And for the people who are like, Kevin, come on and get that NBC show and do what you wanted to do. Yeah. These are people who want you to be the almighty and the all-powerful Kevin Frederick. They want you to be a Tyler Perry. And you're like, wow, I love that narrative too. I love that you all want that for me. If we get caught up on either end of that, we are going to go crazy. And it is it's very, like you said, it is very, very difficult for me. It about damn near gives me hives when I think about allowing people to have their own opinion of me. Because I'm like, no, I'll give you what your opinion should be of me.
Right.
If you don't mind, I'll give it to you. I'll even sprinkle in some bad opinions because I love when people feel very, unbiased and they're giving their true, authentic feeling about me. But it is hard because we, growing up the way we grew up, it is about the perception of it is about other people's perception of our walk. It's about other people's perception about our salvation more than it is about our actual relationship. It's about, do you perceive I have a relationship?
1000%.
Perceive I'm doing right. Because if so, then I'm Gucci,
And that's that's why you have to be wary of your platform and what you do, because you really do there's some situations where I do have power and people act on behalf of what they assume I may do, right? Because they want to work with me. And it also made me realize, like, if there was something that happened to me, right? Say some story came out that I was being nefarious in any way. I am under no illusion that people will be like, I knew it about him. I always knew him. Ain't nobody love their wife that much. Don't nobody love their kid that much. He can't possibly be just waiting in the wings for something down to the lipstick alley. Where they couldn't. I'm talking about thousands of people. Boy, I sure knew you didn't know nothing. And people just and even that I had to let go because I was really in the internet trying to fight everybody's perception of me People don't even like their own self.
That's what I was saying. Sometimes
like me.
arguing against their projection for something that they're dealing with internally that you have no idea upon. And then but the problem with that too is you got to accept whatever illusion is created or whatever pictures painted around their idea of you, because you can't change it. You can't
change it, and it don't affect me. And at the end of the day, we are strangers anyway.
Right.
If it weren't for Al Gore's internet, we wouldn't even have this much information about each other. I likely won't bump into you. I got to go on about my day. You gonna feel how you feel. I'm not gonna change it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna worry about it. I needed that to happen in this part of my career so I could go to the next part of my career.
And you're still going to 4 sold out shows at Cap City Comedy. You know what I mean?
And guess what, Josh? The love always turns to hate.
Oh yeah.
I've seen it happen with artist after artist.
Oh man.
You are fully beloved. Your day of when somebody is just sick of it, they were sick of Tab.
I know. People be mad at Tab. You frozen, Kevin. Sorry. You're back. You're back.
I said, and because I know Tab, I'm just like, dang. Like if Tab got turned on, they turned on Tab. Who are the rest of us? This woman don't put nothing but love into the environment, and people was like, they killed Jesus. The man gave him a fish fry. He had catfish and bread, and they said, "Nah, hey."
They rolled the tombstone clothes, man.
I became
Josh go. Hold on,
Josh, we love you.
We love you. Josh got to go. We love him. Go and be great. And then Angel and I will finish up, and we'll go back to a light topic after this.
Yes.
Josh, be great, man. We'll see you on the bonus episode.
People are loving this. Listen, I became a villain to people just by accepting this job, a job that wasn't offered to anybody else. I didn't even do nothing. There were people who felt some type of way. They luckily felt it a little quieter. But no, there were people. Oh, yes.
What you said.
You got to understand, with everything that was happening in your world, people did not really want someone who really wasn't a part of the world to just plop in here, and also to not have explanations of why I was plopping in here.
Oh yeah, the people still mad to this day that they don't know what happened, and they
still mad to this day. Okay. And the fact of the matter is, I could have let that bury me. I could have allowed that weight of like, ooh, like obviously Patreon, from what I could tell, everybody was Gucci. But listen, because I like to go, I actually go into the here's the thing comments of the episodes, and I just look. One, it's not so much that I am looking for people's approval. I am looking for some of my blind spots, though, because I understand that, like, I have my perception. I'm a 42-year-old Black woman with 4 kids that is married to a man. I have a lot of blind spots. So I usually go to the comments to find the blind spots. And still to this day, there are people who are just like, why? Is she here?
I thought you were talking about like comedians. You were talking about
those two.
Oh, I thought you were. Oh, okay. That's what I thought. Commenters for sure. I saw a lot of that.
Comedians too.
That's what. Why would they think they listen? Let me tell you what was funny.
What do you mean? Why would they think? What do you mean? Why would they think? Same thing as me going on tour with you. Why would they think?
Oh, Mel Mitchell said the same thing. She said, I didn't know people was mad at me. They said it was my turn. People who I don't have no relationship with was like, it was my turn to go on tour with him. What would you think that? We don't even know each other like that.
Let me just say, I got to spend some really great time with Mel in Miami this weekend, her and her sister. And I want to give you props just one more time. You've given yourself props for this. I'm going to give it to you one more time. You are really good at finding talented people. Mel is so, and I even told her, because I was asking about how the tour experience, I was getting the team, make sure that y'all took care of her. Not to say that you don't, but I understand what it means to be the only woman. on tour, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like can't nothing bad happen just because I love you as
1,000%.
as a friend.
We just talked about this for an hour.
Right. So I was like, hey, is everything going above board? And she was just like, oh yeah, you know, she definitely, and not to say that she would confide in me, but she was just like, yeah, everything's going great. And I was like just asking her about her journey, and she was just talking about how she was like, you basically discovered me when I did Keep Your Distance. And I told her, I said, and you unloaded the clip at that daggone show. I remember I said, I was like, this girl is on fire. She said, well, I had something to prove. And I said, well, you did.
Listen,
You did.
and the thing, and that's what I remind her of. Before that, I saw her on TikTok. I saw her stand up. All I did is discover what was already happening. Same thing with, like, I'm not the creator of these people's talents. I just know good talent when I see it, and I try to get in, right? But I told y'all I have a good eye for talent. It's one of my abilities. And the other thing I don't mind is working with them people. My ego leaves room for talented people because, listen, one comedian told me this long ago. He said, if you're around funny stuff, you don't have to be the star. People just remember you was in funny stuff. You was funny too. You just pick your spots and it'd be all right. All right. I want to talk about this because it was really funny to me. So there's a Christian club in Atlanta. All right, let me pull this up on the gram. And it's causing some waves in the Christian community. The comments were on fire. I want to say it's called The Ark, I believe. So check out this video.
I went because I know the host, and I'm gonna tell you what I did not see. I did not see any drinking, smoking. I did not see any bumping and grinding and twerking. I didn't even hear a secular song. All I heard was Christian hip hop, gospel worship music. You know what else I seen? I seen souls being saved. I seen a minister have an altar call, and people responded to it. Not the type of Christianity where your mama was a Christian, your dad's was a Christian, so now you're saying you're a Christian. No, they have their own personal conviction. This is where the relationship with God comes from. They had their own personal conviction. God called them, and they responded and walked down and gave their life to Christ. That's what I seen. You know what else I seen? I seen people's mind being renewed because people had an epiphany. Some people there, this was their first time at an event like that, and that was the first time they realized, wow, I don't have to be high. I don't have to be drunk. I don't have to be twerking and doing all this extra stuff to have a good time. I don't have to hang around people who don't think like me just to feel like I have a community or fit in. No, you don't. I seen a transforming of the mind, you guys. That's where real change happens, according to the word. So with that being said, I'm coming back to the Ark June 24th. I will be there in Atlanta, Georgia. If you're not from Atlanta, I would advise you to find a way. Pull up if you can. If the only thing keeping you from not coming is because you don't have someone to go with you or something, please still pull up, you guys. It's really a community.
You know, Kevin, listen, I'll speak first and I'll let you jump in. I'm glad there is a space for people who you really don't want to listen to secular music. That's really not their vibe. It makes them feel uncomfortable. It makes them feel disconnected to the Lord. I'm glad there is a place that is not, that's hilarious. It is an adult lock-in. That is not the traditional church venue where they feel like they can fellowship and not have to be always super duper serious about their walk. However, I don't want to go.
You don't?
I don't want to go.
Wow.
I like jewelry. I love vulgar music. It makes me really like. This is why I like Waka Flocka. He says very few words, but he gets to the point, and my body naturally wants to whop, whop, peck, 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 peck. I like it. I like one of my favorite miracles of Jesus is him turning water into wine, and I don't want to ever forget that. So I like to partake in libations. However, at the same time, I do know there are people who just don't. They really, for them, it really makes them feel cut off from the Lord if they are in those type of environments that I am okay to be in.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that there is a venue and a community for them to be able to This is how you got to dance in order to still be saved. Anything outside of that, you are in sin. So I'm glad there's a club that they can clap and rock and step.
Angel, let me tell you what. 16-year-old Kevin Fredericks would have been down there popcorning at that Christian club.
Come on.
I'm talking about lean with it, rock with it. I would have had the time of my life at that Christian at 16, 17, 18, all the way up to 28.
Oh, God.
28-year-old Kev would have had the time of my life.
Yeah.
Listen, and then we'll get to the comments in a second. The church they didn't have fun stuff.
No.
Right? They had young clubs with my age for like under 18 clubs or 18-year-old clubs, whatever, with no alcohol and stuff. This was just somewhere where the youth could let their head down. You ain't got to go to the world. I would have had I'm talking about punch card. How else, if you're young and Christian, where you gonna get the hose at? Where the
hose? My church had a church prom. You could have gone to that. We had hip hop rappers performing songs.
That's what I'm saying.
Then I was like, no, I don't want it.
I love this idea. Turn it up. Play some CHH. Play some Lecrae, some Andy Mineo, some Spazzy Rocket. He do regular R&B now. Who else?
Listen, we had a couple of rappers in our church, a couple of hip hop rappers. One of my girlfriends at that time, her name's Erica Fain. She went by Little Short E. She was in there rapping. I wish I could remember some of the songs. We had Big Minister Rome. Big Minister Rome. We had a lot of Christian hip hop artists come out of our church because our church was really about we gonna get the youth.
Listen,
the youth love the hip hop, so we're going to hip hop hop into heaven.
When I was a kid in church, my church would have hated this. The churches I grew up in. The churches I grew up in hated Kirk Franklin. Kirk Franklin wasn't enough. Jesus. Mary didn't say Jesus in Jesus enough in shackles. I remember church mother. Well, I just want to praise him. Why can't they just say praise Jesus? It didn't rhyme good. We know who they talking about. So I grew up in churches where they didn't like this fun. And then when I went to Melissa's church, they used to go to the amusement parks. They went to Disney World as a youth group. They went to Mariners games. And I was like, we could do fun stuff. When I was a kid, it was G.
We definitely had that. Jesus. But you got to also understand, my mother was a rapper in Sunday school.
Peter Kane.
That
performance at the Archangel. Let her do a remix of One Margarita, clean it up. I got one communion. I'm gonna save your soul. Then let your mom get a hot 16.
Let me tell you. Listen, what I do love is when the church is willing to, I don't want to say evolve as if there's something wrong with loving Jesus for loving Jesus, but the church is willing to be like, hey, we're going to kind of change our marketing campaign to reach more souls, right? So that's the reason why I can dig it, because, listen, not everybody's supposed to be everywhere. But I also love when there's an evolution. Like my mother, when she came to our podcast show and I did a freestyle that I did years ago. There was a freestyle I remember. I was very drunk when I came up with it because that's when my freestyles are the best. And this freestyle was probably one of the most vulgar things. So I'm not going to say it on Here's the Thing. But when you come see me on tour, I'll do it. I did it on stage. I said I had this freestyle back in the day when me and Marcus was just like kind of dating. And I dropped the freestyle, just a couple of bars. My mother shot up in the air and was like, yes! Minister Dorothy. But still recognize the talent that was in her sister. Also, my mother is trying to retire. So if it's me rapping about pussy, is going to retire her. Okay? She is here for it. She gonna pray over me before I talk about it, and she's gonna be like, "Tell him what that cat do, girl," and I'm gonna go about my business.
Listen,
Okay.
that's between you and God. What your talent is between me and my mortgage. So you deal with him on that. Long you deal with me on this, amen.
Yeah.
Y'all could listen. Everybody is responsible for their own salvation. I'm good.
Come
We're
on.
also
I know
responsible
where
for
I'm
our own
going.
worries and our bills. If you want to bless, listen, the wealth of the wicked reigns on the righteous as well.
Let it rain. Let it rain. Come on.
He was in them comments. We got to be different in the world. We got to do y'all being in the world. And it was so funny because I thought about the Clark sisters. People was mad at Edwin Hawkins. They singing the most Christian music, and people was still mad. Be mad. Listen, everything ain't for you. If y'all don't like it, don't go. Because the other option is regular club. Are you gonna be mad at that? We get to be in the world, but not of the world. Okay, well, then I'm going to regular club. Now I'm listening to one margarita, and now I'm gone. Now I'm reprobating mine. And now I'm reprobating. Now I'm adding to the stream. Now one margarita got 3 in the stream, and I'm over 5 margaritas because I could have went down there, drop it low for Jesus. Now I'm dropping it even lower for the devil. Now which one you want?
Tell me which one you want. But yeah, congratulations to this woman who has created a place where she could see minds
pulling up.
Okay, if I'm in Atlanta at that time, I'm cutting, but I don't know. I don't want to go. But if I'm in Atlanta at that time, I'm going to recommend other people go.
I'm pulling up, Angel.
I know you would. That's your crowd. That's your crowd. And then until you get into the crowd, and then you're gonna be like,
I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
I'm gone.
Thank you for tuning in. You are loved. Whether you're on Patreon or not, no matter who you are, and I mean that. If you watch for free and that's all you got, don't you ever feel bad. But if you're on Patreon, I'm going to tell you, and I'm always going to tell you, I appreciate you and your support because you allow people to chase their dreams and you allow everybody to benefit. But if you want a little bit more, you're more than welcome to it. If you can't afford it, it'll be here when you can. All right. Patreon
Thank
people.
you for flying. I was going to say, thank you for flying. Here's the thing, hairlines. We look forward to seeing you again.
You are now free to move about your cabin. All right, y'all. We'll see you in a little bit for Bald and the Beautiful. And then Gin and Juice will be after that. All right. New link coming in hot.
Here's another banger for you. Here's another one. Here's another banger for you. Here's another one. Here's another banger for you. Here's another banger for you. With my boy Kev on stage and that chick Angel.